time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the hearing. The applicant and the town board will be sent a copy of tonight's decision. Any other person wishing to receive a copy of a decision can sign the sheet on the table at the front of the room. Those of you wishing immediate knowledge of the outcome of these proceedings may call the zoning office tomorrow morning. The procedure will be as follows. After each applicant is read, the applicant, their agent, or representative will be asked to present their application, followed by any other questions or comments from the committee. Then all correspondence will be read. Then others in favor will have a chance to speak. Anyone objecting will have a chance to speak. I will then ask for a summary of the committee's field observations and staff comments. Finally, the applicant will be allowed a chance for a short rebuttal if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone, state their name, and direct their comments to the committee. Because of the number of applications tonight, which we only have one, I'm asking that all testimony be kept brief and to the point. The applicant will have 5 minutes to present their information on their application other than questions from the committee. Anyone else wishing to speak should limit their testimony to 3 minutes. And any rebuttal by the applicant will also be limited to 3 minutes. If you are testifying as a nearby landowner, please tell us where your property is located relative to the subject property. Tonight's hearing will be recorded, and the recording will become part of the record. Comments that are based on hearsay or secondhand information, as well as slanderous or prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The committee has looked at the property, and they recorded will reflect their observations, or the record. Any persons affected by administrative decision of the committee has 10 days from filing of tonight's decision to make an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Board of Adjustments. Information and applications are available from the zoning office. The county assumes no liability, makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of the 10-day period. I will now introduce the committee. To my far left, Joe Piaski, Larry Crawford, Fred Gallerup, Bob Wadel, Terry Dot Poxted, zoning administrator, and my name is Mark Kirshner. The first application tonight, Benjamin and Christine Moat, Hancock, Wisconsin, have made application for a conditional use in accordance with sections 58-236, paragraph 19, and 58-454, paragraph 11 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to establish a dog kennel, maximum of 10 adult dogs, with no commercial boarding, grooming, or training, utilizing an existing 25 by 40 accessory building with outdoor runs in the AG General Agricultural Zone. Location, an approximately 16.25 acre parcel of land being the southeast half of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter, excluding volume 707, page 723, section 23, town 19 north, range 8 east, town of Hancock. Fire number N3415, County Road FF. Is the applicant present? Would you come forward, please? Would you state your name for the record, please?
Christina Mott.
Can you tell us a little bit what you have planned out there, Christine?
Basically, it's just for our own dogs. We have 6 dogs, and one is reaching adult status. We compete with our dogs and have very occasional litters, but nothing that is in accordance with DATCAP laws or anything like that. There used to be a kennel license on the property, and they let that lapse, and so we're using the building that they had used for it. And we use them weather permitting, but otherwise they're basically in my bed in our house with us, so it's not really a commercial setting at all. So
we heard some dogs in the garage when we were there.
Yeah, I was telling Fred that we don't have the heat on in the outbuilding because we haven't put the other doggy doors in, so all the heat would just be going right out the door, and the garage is heated. So I left them in there today. Normally they come back and forth to work with me a lot too, so and you only get me tonight because Ben's out at Fort McCoy, so that's why it was a little bit chaotic at home, because I wish that he would have been there, but yeah. So
Christine, the committee has a few questions for you. Committee questions, please.
Yeah, I'll be asking you some questions that you probably answered, but we need them for the record. Has there been a recent survey on the property?
When we purchased the house, they surveyed the 16 1/4 acres and marked it. That was last February. So.
Do you know where the lot lines are?
Yes. Not off the top of my head, but they're marked out there.
Have you contacted the county humane officer?
No.
Are you aware of the county kennel requirements, and will they be followed?
Yes.
Will there be any commercial boarding or training?
No.
What sort of traffic is anticipated, and what sort of parking will you need?
None.
Is there an advertisement sign planned?
No.
Will the kennels be at least 300 feet from any home other than your own?
Yes.
How will the animals' waste be disposed of?
It's collected and we dispose of it in our manure pile for our horses as well.
And what is the maximum number of dogs that you plan on keeping?
Like I said, right now we have 6, and that somewhat fluctuates because occasionally we'll foster or something, but I know Ben put it in there as no more than 10 because I'd probably be divorced first, so.
If approval is granted, would you start operation of the kennel immediately?
Yes.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Is there any other committee questions or anything that anybody has? Joe or Bob, Fred, Terry?
I had one, because you said you compete with the
Yes.
dogs? What do you do, just out of curiosity?
We enter them in hunt test, agility, obedience confirmation, various just different competitions and shows and things, so we travel around with them and do that.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Correspondence,
There's no correspondence and no one registered to speak.
staff comments.
For the record, the committee has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all other pertinent data for this application. I'd like to explain a little bit about conditional use permits. All defined zones have uses that are permitted outright, which a single-family dwelling would be, and then along with uses that may be permitted provided certain conditions are met. And that is what we are looking at here, a use that may be permitted provided that certain parameters can be complied with so that the use remains in keeping with the surrounding area and its permitted uses. In some counties, these permits are called special exception permits. Sometimes that makes it a little easier to understand if you think about that in those terms. It's the landowner's responsibility to provide the information that shows the county this use is still in keeping with the zone and area it is proposed for, and that the conditions placed on it will ensure it will be a good neighbor to the surrounding residences. When the committee visited the property, they noted that this property had an approved kennel on it previously. There's certainly plenty of space on the property for the animals, and that there were no residences immediately adjacent to the applicant's property. And other than that, I really have no comments.
Christine, is there anything you'd like to add? Okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes the application. Next thing we have is the text amendments. Do you want me to read this into there, or you want to just?
No, I think because no one registered, there are text amendments proposed, and a synopsis was put in the paper opposed to chapters 18, 42, and 58. That's the floods code, the subdivision code, and the zoning code. Every year as we use our codes, we make notes about things that need tweaking or should be amended. Sometimes the suggestions come from the agencies that we work with, such as DNR or Commerce, now known as DSPS, Safety and Professional Services. Sometimes they come from staff. Sometimes they actually come from the public too. And then in the winter, we look at all those areas of the code and make changes where necessary. The amendments before you are a result of that process. We have sent them to all the interested agencies, and they have been reviewed by Corp Counsel as well. All comments received so far have been favorable, except for the wording in the floods code of the Wild Rose Dam failure analysis. And I gave you that rewording that DNR wanted the other day. There are 2 code chapters that need to be reviewed at the public hearing, and that's the floods and zoning codes. The Planning and Zoning Committee will review changes to the subdivision code later and they can make an approval or suggest changes to any of them at their business meeting. The changes certainly are not sweeping or contain a lot of new material, just some tweaking and cleanup, as I had mentioned, probably except for the cell tower stuff, which is being done because we do have to comply with changes in the state law. So again, DNR requested that we change the wording of the Wild Rose Dam failure analysis and study. So any references that you make to promoting this on would be draft number 4. We're looking at draft number 4. If these amendments are approved by the committee, they will go to the county board for adoption at one of their upcoming regular business meetings. They only become effective after adoption by the full county board. The committee reviewed the proposed amendments in January at their business meeting, and all comments were incorporated into the final draft. And again, DNR requested changes, so we do have draft number 4. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I will go to the other thing that we need to fix.
Go right ahead.
After I got back with the committee yesterday, I started to think about, back in January, the DNR secretary had delayed implementation of the provisions in NR 115 from February 1st, 2014 to May 1st, 2016. And I attached a copy of the executive order to your stuff there. And we had originally gone through and reviewed those code amendments in August of 2011. County board adopted them in October of 2011, but then implementation was delayed until the last date that DNR required. Then there was some action by the legislature when they passed Act 170 in April 2012, so then the county went back in and decided that we should implement all portions of the code that were in compliance with NR 115 to be in compliance with Act 170, except for the impervious surface standards. So when I checked to see how that was worded, we actually had listed the date of February 1st, 2014 instead of the latest date that it would be enforced by DNR. So I talked to Ruth and she said, yeah, we need to clean that up and put back in there that it's the latest date in case they change again, because that might happen because they are still looking at tweaking that language. So we don't want to be forced into implementing it before we know what the final language is going to be, I guess. So while they're still tweaking, we want to put that in there, that it's to the latest date that it would be mandated by DNR. And that's what this ordinance does. So we came up with this yesterday afternoon and are asking you to send that also to county board in March. Note whatever decision you have in your regular minutes. So that's it for that.
Okay. All right, that concludes our applications for this evening. We'll have our business meeting in the room next door over here. And the Board of Adjustments will meet right now. All yours, Robert. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, good. Thank you. In a mandate.
Call this meeting with Share County Board of Adjustments to order. This meeting will be conducted in the same manner as the applications heard by the Planning and Zoning Committee. Please remember to keep your comments brief, no more than 5 minutes, and relative to the matter at hand. Anyone other than the applicant or their representative wishing to speak at this hearing must have registered Anyone who has not should do so immediately and submit the registration slip to the zoning administrator. The committee has looked at all the properties, and the record will reflect these observations. Following the public hearing, the board will conduct their monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the public hearing. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this committee has 10 days from the filing of tonight's decision to file an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Waushara County Circuit Court. Information on appeals is available from the Clerk of Court's office and qualified legal counsel. The committee assumes no liability and makes no warranty as legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. I'll introduce the rest of the committee. To my left are Larry Tim, Mark Schumacher, Kevin Fitzgerald, Dave Wilson. My name is Roger Wagner. First variance to be considered tonight, Daniel and Patricia Greidel, Appleton, Wisconsin, made an application for a variance in accordance with section 58-542, paragraph C, paragraph 2, and 58-823, paragraph C, paragraph 2 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to construct a 24 by 28 by 44 one-story single-family dwelling with an exposed basement and a 10 by 28 attached deck at both the first floor and basement levels. Existing dwelling, greenhouse, and shed to be removed, coming to within 11 feet of both of the northwesterly and southeasterly side lot lines. 10-foot setback required on an existing non-conforming lot, non-conforming due to lot width in the RS-20 zone within the shoreline area. Location, a parcel of land known as Lot 13 of Pearl Lake Plat, being part of Government Lot 4 and part of the northeast one quarter, the southeast one quarter, Section 30, Town of Leon, Pearl Lake, N 33025, County Road EE. Is the applicant present? Would you come forward, please? State your name for the record, please.
Patricia Greedle.
Okay, Patricia. Anything you'd like to add at this time? Otherwise, we have some general questions for the record for you.
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add, okay. Has there been a recent survey out there?
Yes.
You know about when or?
Last spring, 2013, I believe.
Was it done of the whole property, or was it just done of the parcel that you obtained from the county? Our records show that it's just that piece that came
That
from.
small piece. Can I call Dan?
Well,
He would.
why don't you make a note of these and
Okay.
and then maybe you can get them answered and. Okay.
Survey.
They would have put stakes in on the road side of the property, but I don't have any record of that they did it down on the lake side.
Okay. It was 2012, 2012 or 2013 that we had that done, the survey.
Okay, are you,
And then I know the roadside, that was just last summer that we had that done.
do you know where the lot lines are? Are there stakes?
Yes, there are.
We noticed the proposed home was not staked. The stakes were there from your previous variance?
Uh-huh.
You didn't have it staked what your plans were this time, or has it changed from?
The position, we moved the position of the house. As he stated, the plan that we had before wasn't using the property to its highest and best use. So we've changed the position of the house.
Okay, so it was not staked for the new positioning of the home, was it?
Probably not.
Have you talked to the neighbors in the township about this proposal?
Yes.
And was that favorable,
Yes.
both of them?
The one to the north of us, the other variance that we had, we were closer to the lot line, and he said that he was just fine with it as long as we centered the new position of the house on the center of the lot line. And that's what we're planning on doing with what we've come up with now.
So have you spoken with the township at all? Town board?
I believe my husband has.
Do you have a lake association that you go through with some of this stuff?
He was supposed to be here tonight to answer all these questions, so I can't remember, you know, like when he spoke to whoever about this.
Okay. Do you know what type of foundation the home will be placed on?
Poured concrete.
And about how far above the existing grade will the first floor elevation be?
How high from the existing level of the current residence?
Are you gonna have steps going up into it?
Maybe 1 or 2 steps going up, not much different from the place that's there now.
On the roadside.
Should be, yeah, it should be pretty level with the ground. It's not like we're.
The drawings that are submitted with this variance application, okay, do not show the ground levels before or after construction, so we have no idea how high this thing is, okay? And were these plans drawn by a builder, or were they just drawn, you know, by the building supply people? I mean, did the people who draw these plans, were they out on the property? Did they look at it, do you know? Or was it just the building supplier that furnished the plan?
Well, we had worked with a builder before, so it's a modification of the plan that we had come up with originally with the builder. So it's a combination of what we had come up with the builder and then probably the building supply.
Because without the ground elevations before or after construction, and without the property being staked, we really didn't accomplish anything when we did our field visit. We couldn't tell where the home was going. We couldn't tell how high it was going to be. We didn't know how much filling and grading there was going to be on the property. So we were kind of a little confused about, I mean, the concept looks good, in my opinion. Okay, it's centered on the lot. You know, I think it's better than the other application, you know. And I'm sure your neighbors probably feel that way too, but there just wasn't a lot of information out there that we could sink our teeth into. So that's kind of why we're asking these questions.
Do you feel you want to table this whole thing for another month, or?
I would. She's stuck. She doesn't have the answers for us.
My husband would have been here, but he's in Appleton because of
you
the
know,
weather tonight.
And the elevation, we didn't get any elevation planning. We didn't get any, we were at your property before for the septic. There's nothing with this one here that shows us if the septic's going in the same place or not.
I believe it's still in the same place.
You've got plans for a boathouse here that we got some questions too. So,
Because
Do you have a builder selected yet or not?
yes.
Oh, you do? Okay.
do we want to finish the questioning or do we want to make a motion now?
We'd have to make a motion at the business meeting, so we need to go.
We got to do the
I
questions.
think some of these questions that can be answered, you know.
Okay. Do you anticipate bringing extra fill in to the building site?
I don't know if we need it, and if we do, we have some land on the Lake Road that we could get fill from.
Okay. Do you know what the finished height of the walkout basement will be?
How deep the basement will be? 8 feet, I believe.
You're probably gonna have some fill there that you dig out. Are you gonna leave that on the site, or
We can take it over to the other property.
so you really don't know what you're gonna do with the extra?
If there is extra fill, there are some big dips in the other property that we have, and he planned on filling it in over there.
As far as the walkout basement, do you anticipate retaining walls on the side of that to?
Yes. Our builder, we've talked with him about that.
Are you planning any stairs or walkways on the outside of the home?
There will be some steps going down on the south side to line, or, come in with the steps that are going down to the lake at this point. A few steps are going to be necessary.
And how do you, how are you gonna deal with the potential for erosion and stormwater runoff?
Okay, the erosion and stormwater, okay, well, we'll have the contractor install, a silt fence during the construction, and the gutters and downspouts will be directed away from the lake.
Do you plan on doing any decking, and what about the small sheds down by the water?
I think we were told the last time that some changes had to be made with the two buildings that we had down there, to just make one. And then my husband talked that we do have a vegetation plan down at the beach. Your person from the county came to the lake and talked with him, and he got a vegetation plan from that person, and he looked it over and said that it looks very near compliance at this time, and that we should be able to do the work ourselves to get it in compliance.
Okay, the detached garage and the other structures are gonna be removed then also?
There is no garage there right now. There's a shed and a screen house. Those will be removed. And the cottage that's there now.
This is a new variance, so the garage that you proposed last time, this garage for this variance, is it going in the same place?
Yes.
We don't know that because we don't know where the stakes were for that. They might have been under the snow.
Are you planning on doing any other improvements out there at this time, or just what's on the plans here?
Just what's on the plans.
Okay. And all of their setbacks will be met then? The road
Yes.
and the water and,
Yes.
you plan on installing a new septic system, is that correct?
Yes.
Have you had a perk test done?
A perk test?
Yeah, has the
Soil
plumber,
test.
soil test? Do you have a plumber selected for doing the septic?
Yes, but I don't have that person's name here right now.
I
The
actually
perk test?
called Harry Handel because he had done preliminary work, and he has not done a soils test yet, but he feels that it would pass for conventional and that there's room, and that was part of the discussions that took place when that other property was purchased. But is there a soils test done? No, he has not done it yet.
No soil test. Yeah.
But the preliminary was done in that area that was obtained from the county, is that where?
That's where he's thinking
And it
that the
might go.
system will go.
Okay.
It should be just based on his knowledge of the area, it should be a conventional and there should be room.
Okay.
But he has not done everything he needs to verify that.
What are the hardships or unique property limitations that would support this variance?
It's a 50-foot wide lot, and the law is that a structure needs to be 15 feet from each edge of the lot line, and we're requesting that it would be 11 feet centered on the lot.
What is your timetable for construction out there? Do you,
We'd like to begin as early in the spring as possible. Well, we're thinking maybe May 1st if the snow is gone.
any other committee questions at this time?
I don't remember seeing where the septic was gonna be when we were there this time either, do you?
It's on their
on the
site
site plan.
plan
I didn't see,
up in here.
oh man, the rough draft.
Yep. Yep. The tank down here. That field up there.
Does that change from the last one? The last variance? Where the tank is gonna be or the septic field's gonna
I'm
be?
sure the tank's changed because the house is closer to the lake, so they usually don't have a very long line there, but the rest is,
I
I mean, the
really
field was
don't
always gonna
think
be there.
we changed that.
Only reason I'm asking.
Because
is
it has to
because
be a
you-
certain distance away from the well, doesn't it? And, you know, it is kind of a small lot, so I do not think he changed. The septic hasn't changed because we don't have a lot of room to move things around. What they figured out before, that I believe is the same. Oops.
Is this the well here? That's the well here. Here's the tank.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, right here. It says well here. This is the existing and this is the proposed.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the previous application, the tank was gonna be to the south of the home and then run under the driveway to the field in the same location, and now they're gonna have it on the east side and run it along the north side of the garage out to the field in the same location.
I think Kevin's point is that dot on the site plan here is the well, and this is drawn to scale. The tank's way too close to the well, but that's relatively minor. You know, just a matter of
Any other questions at this time? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Correspondence?
Yes. We have a letter from the neighbor. Received on October 3rd. Dear Sirs, on August 2013, Dan Greidel, N3025 County Road EE in Red Granite, was issued a permit to build a house within 8 feet from my property line. If he wishes to build in another location on this property, I would not want him to build any closer than 11 feet from my property line. And that's signed sincerely, Gary L. Johnson, N3029 County Road EE. And then this morning, we received a letter from the DNR regarding variance requests for Greidel property, Town of Leon, and Wagner property, Town of Marion and Washara County. And I'll just read the parts that pertain to the Greidel property at this time. Dear board members, I'm writing to you to provide department comments regarding the Greidel property variance request and the Wagner property variance requests that are to be heard from the Washara County Board of Adjustments on February 20th, 2014. I appreciate that you have provided me with the variance application materials for these requests. I am providing these comments to you in place of making an appearance at the public hearing in person. Please have these comments delivered to and/or read before the committee or BOA. Regarding the Greidel property, the department understands the following facts. The existing cottage is a non-conforming principal structure because it lies on a non-conforming lot due to lot width and is located outside of the 75-foot ordinary high water mark setback of Section 58-826, Parent C of the Washara County Zoning Code. The applicant proposes to remove the existing non-conforming cottage and build a house that will also be located outside of the 75-foot ordinary high water mark setback. A drain field for a new septic system that would replace the existing system is proposed to be located between the proposed house and the road. Due to side lot setbacks, the area on the lot that is conforming is relatively narrow but long. And the applicant also proposes to construct a boathouse to replace an existing deck. The boathouse is less than the area allowed under section 58-903, parents 4, parents F, or approximately 176 square feet, which is less than the area allowed of 180 square feet. The department recommends the BOA addresses these requests separately, one for the proposed house, the other for the proposed boathouse. Proposed house request. Comments. Since the house to be constructed is legally outside the ordinary high watermark setback, the department has no comment on this request. And comments regarding the boathouse are the applicant must demonstrate meeting all 3 criteria required for being granted a variance. Section 58-903, parents 4, parents F, allows for a boathouse of 180 square feet in size, and the planned boathouse will be within this area and will utilize an existing deck platform footprint as a reasonable use of the property. Therefore, the department has no comments on this request. Please note that these comments are in regard to shoreline zoning only and do not reflect applicable erosion control, waterway permitting, or other department regulations. Please contact me if you have any questions regarding these recommendations. And that's signed sincerely, Dale Razabek, Regional Shoreline Specialist out of Oshkosh.
For having no comment, that was a rather long letter.
The first thing I said was, man, I've never written a letter that I ended up saying I had no comment, but
Okay.
Harry referenced the boathouse. He talked about square footage, but when we were there, we talked about with the deck,
right, and
being over square footage.
and the walkway needs to meet the setback, and it does, according to this. And the only parts that we count towards square footage are when the overhang is more than 24 inches. So I had to look that up and clarify that. So the walkway is okay. The
Okay.
size is okay.
No one registered to speak either in favor or objecting. Staff comments?
For the record, the board has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all other pertinent data for this and the other application that they are considering tonight. They also visited both of the properties and viewed the proposals and their location on site at those properties. At this time, I'd like to explain a little bit about variances. Variances ask for a relaxation of a dimensional standard in the code. The decision to grant a variance must be backed by substantive reasons, which include an unnecessary hardship as being caused by the code requirement. If there are unique property limitations that prevent the landowner from meeting the required dimensional standards, and that if the variance is granted, no harm will be done to the public interest or the zoning code. It is the applicant's responsibility to present the case and provide the burden of proof as to why the variance should be granted. Personal situation of the applicant, financial hardship, or nearby violations cannot be considered as valid reasons to grant a variance. When the board visited this property, they noted that all of the structures on the property are proposed to be removed. There are 2 old boathouses and some decking along the shoreline, and that when those are removed, revegetation of the area would be recommended. In addition, they also noted that the proposed home was not staked, and realistic elevation drawings were not provided with the application materials. As far as my comments go, I think this application is fairly straightforward. The landowner is proposing to remove all structures and starting with a blank slate. The lot was created many years ago and is only 50 feet wide. And I think the applicant on paper has done everything that they can to meet all applicable setbacks other than the side lot lines, which would have necessitated a 20-foot wide home or less if they were going to meet those. And that is probably unreasonably burdensome. However, it does not appear to me that the landowner has detailed plans for construction yet, or if they do, they have not conveyed them to this board. Elevation drawings and a survey should be done prior to final consideration by the board, and soils for the septic system should be completed as well. And that's it for my comments.
Does the applicant have anything in rebuttal? No. Okay. Next variance to be considered, Stephen Wagner, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, made an application for variance in accordance with section 58-235, paragraph A, paragraph 5, paragraph A of Washare County zoning code to remodel an existing 24 by 38 non-conforming single-family dwelling, adding dormers and bringing the entire roof to the same pitch, resulting in additional second-story living space exceeding maintenance and repair allowed to a non-conforming dwelling. Non-conforming due to side lot setback in the RS-20 residential single-family zone within the shoreland area. Location, a parcel of land being lot number 13 of Sand Beach Plat, being part of the southwest one quarter and the northeast one quarter, Section 7, Town of Marion, Silver Lake, N1988, State Road 73. Hello.
Hi, I'm Jed Wise. I'm representing Steve Wagner.
Okay, Jed, do you have anything further to add at this time?
I don't know as I need to. I think when we met out at the property, I mean, you saw that we had a non-conforming lot, and you know, the remodeling is kind of needed to bring the house up to good use due to the leaking of the roof, and he'd like to go a little bit beyond by adding the dormers and living space, and I thought it made good sense to do that because he can't really expand the footprint, and it'd be good to the public interest not to expand the footprint, so.
Okay, do you know, has there been a recent survey out there?
No, there is not.
And you have no idea where the lot lines are?
I do have an idea where the lot lines are, based on what we think were some old stakes that we found, but I didn't, you know, kind of think that was very important, just because we were talking about utilizing that attic space to create this second story, and that we weren't, you know, increasing the size of the home. It just didn't seem like the lot lines were important, but we certainly can have a survey done.
But none of your construction plans is gonna go closer to any lot lines or road or the lake, right?
Exactly.
The boathouse may be on the lot line? Is that,
Well, to my understanding, I think the boathouse could be approximately 2 to 3 feet off the lot line. But that's just speculation, just because I haven't had the survey done, and we were, you know, in the phases of, I mean, just getting that done, so.
okay. Probably wouldn't hurt to have one out there, maybe.
Sure, yep.
You understand that your request exceeds what is permitted for similar non-conforming structures under the zoning code?
Yes, sir.
And will addition and all other setbacks, you're going no closer to the side lot lines and basically aren't changing the footprint.
Exactly,
You're going up only.
correct.
Is there an existing basement there?
Yes, there is.
And it's been determined the existing foundation and first floor can support a second story without stressing it?
Yes, sir. There's a 8-inch poured concrete wall, and then it has a 3-foot course of 8-inch decorative block. That was the exposed block that you see. And when I had our architect out there from BBS, you know, they felt that everything was in sound condition, and they could show that architecturally in the plans that I would submit to the building inspector's office.
Did you look inside the walls?
I have not yet, just simply because we didn't want to start any gutting or construction until we had the variance.
When we were on site, you talked about the water that was inside and the moisture problem that you had. And I was wondering how you could determine if the walls on the sides are strong enough if you haven't opened up the walls yet to look at them.
That's a good question. From the basement, because there's no gutters on the house and there's no overhangs currently, the water, I mean, if you kind of saw that concrete poured thing that went around the house,
Yep.
that is cracked away from that foundation, and that water runs into the basement due to that. So it doesn't come in through the framed walls of the house. It comes in through that spot in the foundation. So I'm very confident with correct overhangs and gutters that could be eliminated. And part of this, I would be covering that block with foam insulation and then doing a flashing, which would completely eliminate that, so.
About the wood walls.
Yeah, I understand, and the wood walls are high and dry above where that water's coming in.
Even with the water coming through the roof or around the chimney or? The only reason I'm asking is we had another situation where they wanted to go up on Silver Lake.
Mhm.
When they started to do it, the walls were no good.
Okay, and what I can answer your question about the water that comes into the house does come in around the chimney. We're gonna be removing that chimney. That's centrally located in the house, and the floor joists around the chimney in the basement are still sound. They aren't rotted. I've been down there to check that, and the attic seems like it's okay. So I think it's actually seeping through the masonry of the chimney, so,
You're satisfied?
okay, thank you.
You won't be doing any filling or grading then?
No.
And, can you tell us how you're gonna deal with stormwater runoff?
Well, my plan is to direct the downspouts towards Highway 73 and keep it away from the lake. And because we're not doing any grading, we hadn't had a erosion control plan in place. So
So you are putting gutters on then?
yes, we are.
And finished height will be about,
The finish height will actually be no higher than what it is now, because the dormers were designed so that the pitch was below the peak of the existing roof. So
any other improvements planned at this time?
I guess on the, it might have been kind of hard to see because those floor plans were quite small, but there was a new kitchen proposed in there, which we'd be actually moving a wall inside of the house to carry the new floor system that would support the second story. And then we'd be remodeling the bathroom in order to get heat runs upstairs. So there's some slight changes in that first floor around the kitchen and the bathroom.
And do you know if they've talked to the neighbors about the project at all, or?
I do have a letter from Jeff and Eileen Durr, and to my knowledge, Steve had emailed Bill McMillis.
We have the letter too.
Okay, and, but I don't know if he had contacted, I don't know if he had gotten a letter or not, to my knowledge, so.
We do. From January.
You are connected to the municipal sewer there, right?
Yes, sir.
And construction won't interfere with the connection?
No, it will not.
Available parking and driveway will not change?
Exactly.
And what is the hardship or unique property limitations that would support the variance?
Well, due to the fact that it's on such a narrow lot, and that he meets the average to the high water mark and meets the setback to the road, there was really no room to do any other expansion and to meet all the setbacks. Again, he'd have like a 20 by 20 house, and that seemed to be a little burdensome.
Are there any other non-conforming structures on the property? Do you plan on removing any of these?
We hadn't planned on removing any of them, and the only thing that would happen with them would be maintenance and repair. There'd be no change to any of the other structures.
What about in 2012, we have notes in here from the zoning board was out there talking about, I think if I'm right, Amy was there, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, 9/12/12 for Jeff Durr, and they talked about detached garage replacement garage discussed. That was in 2012.
For Jeff
That's
Durr?
probably for Jeff Durr, though, the neighbor to the
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
south.
all right.
Any plan? Oh, excuse me.
Well, he did remove his garage, so that's a different property. Sorry.
Any plans on revegetating the shoreline?
Well, I think if you could have seen all the way down to those retaining walls, there's really no room to do any revegetation without taking out those concrete retaining walls, which kind of affect both of the neighbors, so there is no plan in place.
And the only changes on the lake side of the home is that you're going up and putting dormers on, windows.
Correct.
And what is your timetable for construction out there?
Well, weather permitting, we'd like to start possibly April or middle of April.
Any other committee questions?
Not gonna do anything with the garage.
The only thing we would do at the garage would be at some point in the future, re-shingle it and possibly re-side it, and a new garage door. I mean, and I don't know, I think just maintenance and repair to the garage.
You'd probably take the slate off and tie the siding in with the home siding, is that?
Correct.
Is that the same asbestos siding that's on the house?
Well, yeah, I believe so.
Okay, if there's no further questions, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Correspondence?
Yes, we have correspondence. I will read the letter from DNR as it goes on to talk about this one. Regarding Wagner property, the department understands the following facts. The applicant is remodeling an existing house by converting a second-floor attic to living space with dormers and other upgrades, safety and energy improvements, all within the same footprint. The existing house is a legal non-conforming structure due to side lot setbacks with a 50-foot width. The existing house is located 38 feet from the ordinary high water mark within the 75-foot ordinary high water mark setback, but is also within the average setbacks for Shoreland and Road. Proposed entrance accessibility changes, landing and ramp to doorway are to be located on the road side of the structure. Comments: the applicant must demonstrate meeting all three criteria required for being granted a variance. The department has no problem if the Board of Adjustments decides to grant this variance, but the department suggests that they ensure that an erosion control plan be approved for the construction, that they maintain the vegetative buffer zone, and that the new roof and gutters be constructed to convey runoff from the lake. And again, that's signed Dale Rozabic, the Regional Shoreline Specialist for DNR out of Oshkosh. And we also have
Spell his name, last name.
Rezabek.
R-E-Z.
B-E-K. And we also have a letter received on January 21st from Jeff and Eileen Durr, to whom it may concern. We own the property located at N 1986 State Highway 73 next to the Stephen Wagner property at N 1988 State Highway 73. After reviewing the proposed reconstruction of the Wagner property, I do not have any objections to the planned renovations. If you have any questions, please contact me. And again, that's Jeff and Eileen Durr, D-U-R-R. And then we received a letter tonight, and that person also registered to speak. So I'm going to ask, you want me to read the letter and you're going to speak?
Read it and then allow me to speak, represent questions.
Okay. It starts out listing the public hearing notice. I don't think I need to read that again because we know what that is. Okay. And owing to the fact that this project is a co-project, Wagner and Jeff Durr, I must decline my endorsement. Project started in July 2013. During this time, many people have wandered around my land, asking questions and in general violated my privacy. This has even extended to the point that Jeff Durr, taking advantage of Wagner's land boundaries and use it as a sound point to level derogatory remarks towards me in a homosexual soliciting agenda. Durr has also posted a sign months ago, see photo 1, at the end of an extremely dangerous cliff facing the lake that is not fenced or marked. A gondola trash container has been in view for at least 6 months, causing a difficult backing into traffic condition, as well as an eyesore, photo number 2. As is the case, you are asking for the Silver Lake property owners for advice, photo number 3. House on Chicago Point Road, built not only on wetland feet from the road, but has filled in a pond to build what? Let me remind all on the panel that the Silver Lake Property Owners Association is a gang that all in the lake are forced to belong to. Dues are collected under duress. Pay or lose your house. There is no infrastructures, just vigilantes dumping pesticides into the lake water, pesticides that for states and trying to remove from their groundwater. The work suggested is similar to the work I had done here. If the work is approved for Durr Wagner, the top of his boathouse must be removed and have a 12-12 pitch roof placed directly on the top and the covers removed, no longer a patio. If he is allowed to keep his boathouse top patio, I will demand my rights be returned. I am not asking for restitution as I should for you depriving me of the patio use for 6 years and $1,000. The road picture number 4 shows the cars are forced to park on the road. The landing is just beyond them where there is enough parking. The public parking is gone now. Some crook took it away and is getting payment. I was told why last summer, but I will not put the reason in print. Other pictures show the need for paint. Crack curtains, please. This is not Milwaukee. Other shows Durr nearer the lake than others. If Wagner's house is a 2-family residence, have him state so. At this time and for the reasons stated, I must suggest this project end. At this point, samples were not taken of the shingles to test for asbestos and possible removal. In closing, I wish to add that I am sending a copy to Congressman and the Governor, and that's signed William A. McNellis.
Full name, please.
MC, capital N-E-L-L-I-S. And these are the photos.
That's all the correspondence?
That's all the correspondence.
Okay, we have no one to speak in favor. In opposition, William McNellis.
Yes, sir.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Yes, I'm William Arthur McNellis, and I've been a resident here for quite a while.
Where is your property located?
Exactly next door. There was a house in between, but a meeting up here didn't agree with my wife and me, and she's gone. So there's an empty lot next to me right now. That's right next to Wagner. I'm a little confused by some of the questions that I've heard of some of the things that are going on. This project started last July.
And who owns that vacant lot?
I do.
You do, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, the construction, and it was busy, heavy construction started last July. Since the project began, the entire driveway has been removed. The sidewalks have been removed. Everything had been moved closer to the Durr property. And the sewer line was dug up and reconnected to the main sewer place. There has been a well that was hammered in there and I think a heat pump. So that place has been shaking. I mean, my building has been shaking from all the activity over there. So for somebody to say it's just started, that's crazy. This has gone on for months. And that dumpster out there is an eyesore. And it's not only an eyesore, there's at least 6 advertisements on there. It looks like I'm coming to Juarez, Mexico when I see that thing. There's some place where the project has to end. And to look at the house, there hasn't been a drop of paint added to that house yet. And they have the crack curtains, the garbage bag curtains that you can't see through, the black things, like in Milwaukee. Whatever. The guy is a nice guy. But the first thing that I think has to be considered is if that is a 2-family resident. By all appearances, from my observation, that is a 2-family residence. The Durs and Wagners both live there. I have seen the Durs come up without even going into their house, go straight into the other house with coolers and stuff like that. I think it's a joint house. Now, in one of the photographs there, you'll see an advertisement facing the lake. That's right next to the cliff. That's a sign that Jeff Durr put up. So it's claiming that this is his project. This is a building advertisement he put up there. So it's like his project. So I think that has to be clarified. If that's a 1-family residence or a 2-family resident, there's a hell of a difference for me. Another question?
I don't know if
No,
it's a
the
1-family or 2-family.
Okay. Well, I think that it's important that is found out. And the same thing, I saw everybody going over there to investigate the house of the claim and find out what to do, and that's nice, but it doesn't tell me anything if that's asbestos shingles up there. Everybody mentioned the siding of the house. Now, is that asbestos slate or that's on the house? Also, I heard somebody say they're going to tear down the chimney. Now, how much of that chimney is supporting the house? Now, this is a land contract house. They've removed too much of the supporting walls. We got a pile of rubble sitting over there. I think some major people that really know construction must investigate what's going on. You start tearing things out, support walls out, next thing you know, the place is gone, and people are hurt. Now, with the gutters, I don't care if they put gutters on or not. But they are building, the construction is going on closer to the lake than what I have on my place. Now, when my place was built, I was forced to remove the top of my boathouse and put a roof on there so nobody could use it as a patio anymore. If he's allowed to keep the top on his boathouse, let me have mine back again. Let me take that roof off of that thing and let me use my patio again for the kids and the people that enjoy it. It was one of the nicest places on the lake. I had to lose that, along with other things. I got hit pretty bad because I have more than one property. But I want that back. I want my observation deck back. I want my patio out there. I want to get rid of that damn roof. It doesn't do any good. It just stops me from using it. And I think that's a very minor concession. Only give me back what was mine. Any questions?
Staff comments?
Again, the board has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all other pertinent data for this application. They did visit the property as well. Remember, variances are for a relaxation of a dimensional standard in the code. When the board visited the property, they noted that the boathouse and detached garage were both non-conforming structures. They also noted that this property had a 3-tiered retaining wall along the shoreline that does not conform to current zoning requirements. The wall complex appeared to be tied into the neighbor's retaining walls. It also appeared to be in relatively good condition considering its age. The board discussed this nonconformity and their past decisions that have required bringing such matters into compliance with current codes. It was a general feeling that the removal of this particular structure could cause more harm than good by leaving a steep, high slope adjacent to the lake, and that such action could open up the site to substantial erosion problems in addition to possible damage to the neighboring walls. And finally, they did note that the construction proposed is all within the current building footprint, so what would be a reasonable mitigation standard, taking that into consideration as well. I am looking at the plans, and our definition of a two-family residence would mean that it would have separate entrances and 2 kitchens and, you know, have a separating wall in between. And I can tell you that the plans that have been submitted do not show that. And it certainly would be something that would be caught by the building inspector. So I will answer that part of the question, and that the plans that we have are for a single-family residence. Whether 2 families stay there at one time or not, I guess I have people at my house a lot too, and I still have a single-family residence. So that just because more than 1 family stays there does not make it a 2-family residence according to the zoning laws. And that's, no, your time to talk is over, I'm sorry. And that's it for my comments.
The applicant have anything to rebuttal?
When Steve Wagner bought the property, the construction that's occurred in July has nothing to do with the Wagner property. He on his own did have his sewer fixed and did replace his driveway. That's the only thing that's happened. Oh, and they did have a shared well, which went through the county, so everybody knows there's a shared well agreement. And it's no secret that Jeff and Eileen Durr are friends, and Steve allows them to use his house while their house is being remodeled. The dumpsters that have been there that are an eyesore are a lot less of an eyesore than a pile of garbage next to Highway 21. And when I applied for that variance for Jeff and Eileen Durr's, I stated that I would be taking care of all the construction removal, and I've been doing an excellent job of that. And I've kept the site immaculately clean, and I have noticed Bill taking pictures of us and doing things. Me and my crew have not done anything in my knowledge to disrupt him intentionally. I did go over to ask him a question, which as a human being I thought I had the right to do. I apologize if I interfered with your life at all. So I guess if there's any other questions that were brought up that you guys have, I'd be glad to try to answer them. But to my knowledge, we've done everything to the book, and all the construction that'll be done to Steve Wagner's house. I'm a licensed contractor. I work with professional architects. I know what I'm doing. So everything that happens to his house will improve the property. There will be no rubble. And I think that's all I have to say.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
First of all, when we were out on the property, you were there, and we asked about the asbestos siding. And could you summarize for the public record
Sure.
what you told us, how you're going to handle that, and
Yeah.
what's required?
I've taken classes through the Milwaukee Lead and Asbestos, and I am aware that I do have to re-up my, you have to go through the credentials to keep them current. So I will be taking care of that, and my workers will be working in a lead and asbestos safe manner. And I have contacted Advanced Disposal on the proper containers to remove the asbestos siding, and I can assure that there will be no harm to anybody on the lake or any adjacent properties, and we'll handle it in a professional manner.
And then the other thing, just not to be redundant, but you said you had your architect look at the structure. So he was aware of the chimney removal and the ramifications of
Yes, sir.
affecting its structural integrity. So, I mean, he was aware of that, you're aware of that, and you stated you're assured that it can be done in a code compliant manner.
And my architect was in the attic with me, in the basement. We measured things out. We placed the proper headers that are gonna be listed on the detailed building plan. And I have seen buildings where a chimney is used for support. This particular chimney is a 2-foot by 2-foot chimney that handles old water heater exhaust, which has been taken out. So that chimney was never piped, so that exhaust actually eroded the chimney, which supports nothing, and it's failing. So that's why it will be removed.
And then you furnished us with these drawings, correct? Okay. Do you have a set of those with you?
I did not bring it with
Okay.
me, I'm sorry.
Well, there's a left elevation that shows a porch, an overhang over the, I believe it's the existing entrance, and it says new exterior steps, okay?
Yes.
And then it shows a second one, which I'm assuming is towards the lake. The left elevation would be looking from Mr. McNellis's property towards this property?
I believe so. The existing steps you would see on, if you're looking at it on the right, you would see the new steps that would be going into the house, and then
Okay.
on the left, there'd be a overhang that would be facing the lake.
Right. So there's going to be another overhang over the entrance towards the water?
We were going to leave the ones that exist, but it was brought to my attention that those overhangs right now are 3 feet, and we were gonna make them 2 feet so that they didn't impede his average to the water. And the same thing with the roadside, I guess, because that was
That's-
3 feet also, so,
That's these overhangs here?
correct. Yeah,
I just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you.
thanks. Any other questions?
No, thank you. Okay, that closes the public hearing for the Board of Adjustments. Go right into the business meeting, or you want to take a break?
Go ahead. As far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. Roll call will show everyone